Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be single friends and married people. I got an email here from a guy who is dating a woman, and basically what's going on is she apparently has other guys that she's friends with, and I really can't tell from his email if he's talking about the women as well. But basically what she shared with him recently was that when friends of hers that she knows get married, she basically cuts off all contact with them. And her explanation to him was because she's wants to get married and she figured she'd have a kid by now, and since that's not happened, she feels bad, and so that's her excuse. But I'm kind of wondering, because it only seems like he mentions guys that she's doing this with, and so I'm wondering if she's been secretly carrying the torch for these dudes, and then like once they get engaged or get married, then she writes them off, doesn't want to talk to him anymore. So let's take a closer look and get to the bottom of this, shall we? He says, "Hello, Corey. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend, and she was telling me about a friend of hers who was getting married. She explained how the girl is engaged to, or the girl that he is engaged to, is jealous and controlling, and of course she doesn't condone their relationship. Or I should say the fiance doesn't condone her friendship with her fiance." So I mean, that's understandable. Women get jealous about things like that, especially when you're close. So she told me she does not condone the marriage because of this. However, something else my girl told me got me thinking. She told me that she's cut off all ties with him completely because she gets jealous when others get married. When she did not come out and say this at first, I asked questions and did some digging till she finally admitted it. She even admitted to me that she had ceased friendships with 7 previous friends for this exact reason. And so were all these dudes, were these all guys, or were there women there as well? So I'm just kind of wondering about that, because I'm thinking that maybe she had a crush on these guys or was carrying a torch and was hoping maybe someday that these guys would actually marry her. But the guy didn't give me enough information. So he says, I told her that I was disappointed that she would choose to try and hurt someone's feelings rather than show integrity and respect was something she didn't agree with. She went so far as to admit to me that she had wished to have been married with a kid by now, and that seeing other people achieve this goal hurts her, and thus she cannot stay friends with married people. That sounds kind of silly to me. She also told, but it's not silly if these are all guys, and maybe deep down she had a crush on these guys. So I'd get to the bottom of it. I'd dig a little deeper if I were you. She also told me that if I married her, she would cease contact with her friends and focus all of her attention on me. And I would have to say that's a really bad fucking idea. And I'm going to give you an example from my own life. And when I was really young, my dad had told me that basically once they started having kids, my mother wanted nothing to do with anybody outside of the immediate family. That means it's like she found a reason. It's like he said, just something changed in her, and she didn't want to hang out with the friends that they had, from high school, people that they knew that they grew up with or whatever, or just people that he met where he was working, co-workers and friends. And it just got to the point where she didn't want anybody coming into our household that wasn't part of the family because she just found fault with everybody. And my dad's a great guy. All my girlfriends have always fucking loved him. All my friends have always said, your dad's the nicest guy in the world. And he is. He's a great guy. But back then, he was pretty fucking weak because he grew up in a household with a mother who just totally dominated him. And my mother was a very domineering woman, and he just kind of went along with everything because he was just weak and lazy. And he didn't stand up for what he wanted. And so in order to placate her, he would just, whatever you want, sure, whatever you want. And he just went along with everything. And I remember when I was in middle school, I realized that my parents were fucked up because I remember in our neighborhood there were a lot of kids on our block, and the first couple years we were there, I remember my mother socialized with a bunch of the different mothers in the neighborhoods because we're all playing football. The kids were all playing football and baseball and soccer and all that stuff together. And I remember one by one, oh, that person's this, that person's that. And she found fault with everybody. and just cut all. She didn't want to have contact with any of them. And my dad, they basically had no friends. And the friends that they had when they were younger, they just pretty much lost touch with them. And my dad just even to this day he says, "Oh, it was your mother's fault," and he just went along with everything. And the thing I think is sad about the whole thing is that, he's 63 years old now, and he doesn't have a single friend in his life. Outside of our family, he doesn't have guys that he can say, "Hey, man, you want to go meet up and have a beer?" He just doesn't have friends. He's never made those friendships. And my mother passed away several years ago, and since then, my dad does pretty well with online dating and meeting women, and I used to coach him several years ago, and he learns about this stuff a lot too, and so he's always working to get better. But he's still kind of the same way, and he's never really formed any lasting friendships. And so, like the women that he dates, when he goes out with these different women, it's like he basically just adopts their peer group or their group of friends. But when the relationship ends, so do the friendships that he had with all of these female friends of his girlfriend. And basically what he does at night is he sits at home and he gets drunk and he passes out in front of the TV. And he pretty much does this 7 nights a week if he's single and he's got nothing going on. But if he's got some girls to go out with that he really likes, he'll take them out in his yacht, he'll go traveling, he'll do all kinds of great things. But if he's got nothing going on, he doesn't have anybody, he doesn't go out, he doesn't go to the bars, he doesn't do anything socially to meet new people. He has met people in public, but he's like a master of online dating. And that's just the way he lives his life, and I feel sad for him. But he's 63 years old at this point in his life, and he's been doing this ever since I can remember. As a kid, it was just, he and my mother, it's like their social life basically revolved around the TV and what favorite sitcom of theirs was on. And so at night, he'd come home from work, he'd sit and start drinking in front of the TV, and then he'd end up passing out drunk, and then, at some point he'd go and crawl in bed. But, he's been doing this for, I would imagine, at least over 40 years. I think it would get old after a while, but, he's set in his ways, and this is the way he is. And my point of bringing this example up is what your girlfriend is doing are the same kinds of things that my mother did when she was younger. And had a family. And so, say you stay together with her, or you get married, and she cuts off all of her friends that are, it sounds like she's just going to cut everybody off outside of your relationship. And that's a pretty lame social life, because two people in a relationship come together to share their completeness, not to complete each other. In order for a relationship to be healthy, a guy's got to have his own interests and his own friends that he has that he can have and spend time away from his girlfriend or his wife so she can miss him, because you don't want to spend there's some couples that do that. They're together 24/7 and they can't stand to be apart. But for the average person, most people just simply aren't like that. And so what I would say to her is stand up for what you want. Tell her, just say, that's a bad way to go. You shouldn't be cutting your friends off. But then again, if these are all guys that she secretly had a crush on over the years, and she was hoping maybe one of these particular dudes would marry her, and then when these guys got engaged to other women, she's like, okay, well, I guess nothing's going to happen with him, so I don't want anything to do with him. And so, that would be something I would be curious about. But I wouldn't, if you let this girl do that, cut out all of her friends, then eventually she's going to start finding fault with your friends and do the same, cause you to do the same thing. And as a man, you can't go along with that shit, because that's weakness. And my parents' relationship, you read my book, it was just, they're cold, unaffectionate people, just because that was how they were raised. And you don't want to grow up, and it's like you don't want to raise kids in a family where people are socially awkward. And I realized in middle school that something was fucked up and wrong, and I just said, what, I'm not going to be like my parents. I'm not going to be where I have absolutely no friends. And I've always had lots of friends. I have a lot of high school buddies I still keep in contact with, and because I love having long-term friendships. And it's nice as you get older, to be able to look back 20-something, 30 years or whatever to people you knew when you were kids, and you see, you can share life experience because you've been on this journey together. And so let me make sure he doesn't have any other questions here. He says, I was just wondering if this is something significant to discuss with her or if I should let it go. And I would definitely probe a little bit deeper. I mean, are these all guy friends that she does this with, or is this everybody in her life that she's married to? And I mean, if it's everybody that she's married to, then that's a very unhealthy behavior, because your girl has to have her own outside interest, because as she gets rid of all of her friends in her social group and completely becomes fixated on you, then you become the center of her life and the center of her entertainment. And at some point, you're going to start to feel like you're suffocated, because every time you want to go do something, she wants to tag along, because, again, she's run off all of her friends. So if you find this message of value, you can show your appreciation by going down to the Wibbia toolbar at the bottom of your screen if you're watching this video on my website. Click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information in this video. At the very least, please share this page with all your friends and family by clicking any one of the social network sharing buttons, which are also located on the Wibbia toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And if you have a question that you want to ask me, or there's a topic you'd like me to cover in a future video newsletter, click the Contact Me tab on the left-hand side of your screen. Send me 3 or 4 paragraphs maximum detailing your situation, your challenges, or your questions. And just give me several days to get back to you, because I get a lot of email from the internet, and I also get a lot of it from my paying phone coaching customers. And I obviously got to focus on their emails first, but be patient and I will get back to you. And if you want to talk to me right away so I can help you with a challenge or a specific situation you're having, click the Products tab at the top of your screen and just follow the instructions for booking a paid phone coaching session with yours truly. And I will talk to you soon.